Welcome to another conversation with the Brothers of Two Complex. We appreciate y'all for clicking on this video, but before we get into the content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of these bangers that we drop every single week. We appreciate the support. God bless.
This is something that's caught a lot of attention over the last couple of days. So in Cam Newton's Funky Friday podcast or show, is that a podcast? Is it a show? What is that?
You can call it a pod. You can call it
podcast. He had Kirk Franklin on there. If you don't know Kirk Franklin is probably GOAT status, if not GOAT, Mount Rushmore of gospel music for his classic songs. Kirk Franklin, having a candid conversation. He's talking about how marriage is being weaponized by Western culture and Christianity because of the stigmas, the dogmas that we put on women to be married, put on men or young people, single people. Let's just say that single people. To be married and have their worth fulfilled or their value fulfilled as humans. Sticks, how do you feel about this whole conversation that Kirk Franklin had with Cam Newton and the stigmas that come with the marriage, being married in Christianity and Western culture?
Kirk was spitting. Kirk was spitting in this pod because I ended up going back and watching the whole podcast, and he was saying a lot of good things in the podcast. And one quote, and just to kind of get off the actual topic for a second, one quote that he said was, "Whenever you're doing good, sometimes God will bring the water above your head so that way you can feel so you can see what it feels like to talk to people who are drowning." That was a good ass quote, just to start it off there. But what he said about marriage and Western culture and Christianity is very, very true, because my sister, shout out to you, sis. I had already saw the post, but she sent it to me this morning, and I was like, yeah, Kurt was spitting, and she sent it to me because I feel like, even though maybe it's said behind the scenes, or maybe, what I'm saying, it's not said out loud within our family, but I feel like she gets a lot of that because she is in her 30s. She is single. And I feel like whenever we go to these family functions, she gets a lot of the slack for being single with no kids. And there's a lot to be said about that, because number one, in culture today, that you have a lot of women who are proud to be independent, strong women who can take care of themselves. I agree with y'all. That is a beautiful thing. You went to school, you got your degree, you're doing work within the field that you decided to go to school for. Like, you got your own business, you making your own money. Good for you. I love that for you. There has been a loss when it comes to the traditional family. And I'm not even saying traditional in a sense of, a man has to pay everything, and, women don't got to do nothing. And, some women say that the traditional family feels like slavery for them, and that now they just staying at home doing all the cleaning and cooking and taking care of the babies. And it ain't even got to be like that. It could be 50-50. It could be me doing the laundry some nights, me cooking some nights, me taking care of the kids some nights. It can be a lot of different things, but there's been a loss of the sight of what a traditional family looks like, the nuclear family looks like. There has been a loss of that. Now, that's not to say that the fact that Christianity is weaponizing it against women, more so women, single people, just like D-Lo said, but more so women, is right, because like you said, there is a dogma around marriage. Like, he also said in the podcast too with Cam Newton that you can be single and God can still use you for your purpose. You don't have to be married to fit this Christian ideal that they're trying to push onto Western culture now. You don't have to be married for that. You can still be used by God and serve your purpose by God. Even if you're single, you got to be married for that. But I agree. Like, there is a lot of argument within that you go to that cookout or that family reunion or that family gathering and you still pulling up single by yourself. You ain't got no kids. Oh, them old folk gonna talk. They gonna talk. And I feel like I get a little bit of it too, but it's not as much with men. But it's getting to a point now where I'm getting old enough to where they be asking me, dang, you ain't got no wife yet. I'm like, I ain't found one. You feel me? Like, don't nobody want your boy. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I agree with what Kurt was saying, and it's definitely weaponized more against women than it is with men. But what you think, D-Lo?
So there's one thing that you said that he mentioned in the pod, that you could still be single and God still use you, and you said that that's how it is nowadays. Like, people feel like that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said people feel like they need to be in a relationship in order to be used. Well, biblically, God.
That's what Kirk said. That's what Kirk said. That's what Christianity is saying, that people need to be in a marriage to be used. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And no, it's cool. But the thing is, like, we use the Bible we use the Bible in ways that help us feel good about ourselves, not really following it to a T, right?
Agreed.
We'll say, well, God said, don't sleep out. Well, God said, don't sleep out of wedlock. Mm-hmm. I know people that did not have like actual
intercourse.
They had intercourse, but it wasn't genitals to genitals. They was getting, you know what I'm saying? They was
for sure.
They was just getting fellatio.
Gotcha.
Boy, you basically doing the act. Come on now, let's be real. Let's not find loopholes with it, right?
For a reason, yeah.
Right. Let's not find loopholes in it. But I say all that to say is, like, God in the Bible used the worst individuals in their trials and tribulations as testimonies, as ways in which to send messages to individuals of what you can achieve through God. So for me, I felt like that was a little bit of he overstated that situation. Like, God, people nowadays can be used just like they were used back in biblical times, whether they're the worst of individuals or the best of individuals. It doesn't matter. If God wants to use you, he's going to use you. As far as what Kirk Franklin said, I think there is some validity to it. Like, we weaponize the Christianity in the Western culture, try to weaponize marriage, but there's also a bit I see why it is weaponized. And I say that as I'm married, but even if I wasn't married, I can understand why it's weaponized, because we kind of slipping away from the core values that we have. And now I say all that not to villainize women that are not married as they get older, because if you are happy with yourself, you can do bad all by yourself rather than being with somebody that's not making you happy. Be that. If you can take care of yourself without somebody else stepping in the picture, muddying up how you feel about yourself, you do that. Once you find that person, if they're for you, they're for you. But with all that being said, for those individuals that don't participate in Christianity, or they do half-heartedly, there's a lot of hookup culture that goes on. There's a lot of you talk about this all the time. I don't really get into it, but I know it's out there. This real hot girl stuff, they for the streets. That is real. And
it's a real thing.
But on the flip side, you have people that are married that step out on their marriage and do so. So I mean, it goes both ways. I don't think we should villainize women specifically for not being married, but I understand why the traditional values of Christianity, of Western culture, are held by the old folks, because they're like, wait a minute, you out here twerking it up. You know how they talk. You know how old folks talk. You out here messing with this woman.
You out here smoking them tweeds. You out here messing with this woman and that woman. You ain't got no
yeah. But because the traditions aren't really. We don't have any traditions anymore. There is no such thing as tradition, and you can see how we're slowly getting away from. if no family is going to be no family is going to be the same as it was back in the day, but we're slowly getting away from the family structure and it's being torn apart. But I understand what Kirk Franklin was saying. I know I went all over the place, but
no, you're good. I mean, but it's one of those things where it's like relationships are like houses, bro. Like back in the day, you had these traditional houses and you knew exactly what was going to be in the house and this, that, and the third. But now you got these modern houses where it could be this open floor plan, open relationship, this open floor plan, this closed porch, this open, this like so many different options now with the modern home than it was back in the day with a traditional home. So like you can do so many different things now, and that's just evolution. So it's no longer like traditional. Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
Nah, but it's just going from like there's no the traditional family, the nuclear family is we're losing sight of that, like D-Lo said, because the modern tradition these days is there's so many things that are tearing men and women apart, and we need to find a way to bring those things back together because. I agree with I could do better all by myself. I can agree with that, especially if somebody is coming in, like D-Lo said, coming in your space and making it worse. Get that motherfucker up out of there. But if the society today is not meant to be single. It's not. You need two incomes. You need two parents in the household to raise these kids. You need all of these things. We need to go back to some of those traditional values and try to figure out a way for those traditional values to coincide with what's going on in the modern day today. That's the main thing. But to weaponize it, man, what did Kirk Franklin say in there? He was like, Paul said in the Bible that marriage is a viable distraction. But then today, whenever you villainize these women or these men or these single people for not being married, but they get married and then you villainize them again for the marriage failing. So what do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? You know what I'm saying?
That's what he was saying. He was saying like, that's why he was saying it is weaponized. It's because people will try to get married with somebody that he didn't say this specifically, but this is what I took it as. People will get married early and quick for somebody that they not necessarily love but
for acceptance most times in the community.
Yeah, for acceptance, and not necessarily even but somebody that they lust for because again, the Bible says, you shouldn't be sleeping out of wedlock, so on and so forth. And so in order to get themselves out of that and where they can participate in that type of activity consistently, they'll end up with somebody that, makes them feel good in the moment, but not necessarily makes them feel good
overall
outside of that. Right. And so that's why I took it as, and that's why I feel like he was saying it was weaponized is because we're using circumstances to make people feel like they need to be in a marriage and not necessarily for the right reasons.
I agree. I feel like women and men, but since we're talking about weaponizing marriage and women are weaponized, marriage is weaponized towards women a lot more than men. I feel like women are weaponized in modern culture today anyway because it's always one of those things where they're told that they need to go back to their roots, they're back to their traditions, and the boss babe thing ain't what's good, and you're gonna be out here focusing on your career and not being married, and it's gonna be saying you're gonna find yourself hit the wall at 35, 36, ain't nobody gonna want you, and these men gonna pick somebody. It's all of these bullshit red pill manosphere podcasts that talk shit to women all day every day. It's 90% of that shit is bullshit. And that's one of the reasons why me and D-Lo don't do a lot of relationship talk is because we don't want to fall into that, which we wouldn't, but we don't want to fall into that manosphere space to where we're looked at like those motherfuckers. And women, again, if y'all want to take care of yourself, go to school, get a degree, get a job, focus on you until you are within, your 30s, and now you say you got your career settled and now you want to settle down until you're ready. Like who cares how long it take you to get married? Don't let the Christian culture weaponize or the Western culture weaponize marriage against you. Take your fucking time. Find the right person for you. Don't just get married out of lust like D-Lo was saying, or you get married so fast just to appease somebody else.
He said Christian culture. That's crazy.
Hey, listen, bro. I mean, right
God
now
still
we
love
didn't.
you. God
God still love me. He know my heart. Blame my head, not my heart, Lord. Please, thank you. But at the same time, it's like, who cares, bro? Take your time, find the right person for you, and figure out exactly if this person is meant to be with you for the rest of your life. Because, man, I done been in so many relationships, and apparently, I ain't the right one. Or that person wasn't the right one for me, and I'm touching that second level, that next level. You feel me? And I want to get married, but I ain't found the right one yet. So it don't matter, dog. It don't matter, dog. So just take your time whenever you're ready.
Yeah, take your time whenever you're ready. I can't say anything about that because I
are married, but I
am married.
Yeah, but that's a beautiful thing. I tell you all the time, D-Lo, I want to be in this position that you in. Married, beautiful wife, beautiful family, beautiful kids. Like, I want that at some point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just gotta, I'm not gonna let I'm not gonna let that weaponize. I'm not gonna let them weaponize that against me. No, I'm good.
I think most people do want that.
I think so too. I think everybody honestly wants that, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
People love love. They just don't know what love looks like sometimes. And
you spitting, boy. You spitting right now.
It's just real. People love love, but they don't know what it looks like. And so when they think that they are in love from other feelings, they jump on it really quick. They try to keep that lightning in the bottle for as long as they can, but when that lightning runs out, it is what it is.
My sister said something to me. I want to see if I got that in my. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna point it out real quick. It says she said many of us, in parentheses, she said black people, don't recognize that we suffer from childhood trauma. It's good to address them in earlier stages of dating. So, because she's a social worker, she does a lot of kind of mentoring and kind of she does work like that. But she said, but that's what it is, and that's why I tell myself all the time, I have to be there for Sam. Like, I can't have her being one of these people out here with daddy issues or childhood trauma to where she didn't know what love was. I got to be here for my daughter so she can know exactly what love is and what to look for in a man. Like, and I don't want Sam to be this person. I also don't want Sam to be the person who falls into this weaponized culture and marries super duper early because she felt like that's what she has to do or what she needs to do. Take your time, find that person for you. But I don't know, bro. It's tough out here. The single life is tough. I don't want to be in a single life no more, but it's what it is for right now.